Thanks very much, comrades and friends. I'm very happy to be here with you today in your Congress. I hope the best for your decisions. We are only a few days away from the most critical European election in the history of the European Union. Because this time, we are not voting only to elect members for the European Parliament. We are voting in order to shape the balance of political forces in a Europe which is at a critical crossroad. We are voting to hold back catastrophic austerity, and we are voting to regain democracy, so that we are voting for our lives. We are voting to tear down the wall of money. We are voting to overcome the North-South division, a division that cancels the European idea and Europe itself. So, the dilemma is now very clear. Either with the Europe of the peoples or with the Europe of the bankers. Either with democracy and solidarity that unite or with austerity that kills Europe. And at the end, either with the European left or with Mrs. Merkel. This is the dilemma. And the answer is only one. The answer is that all together, let's march ahead with the European left, with Die Linke and Syriza, once again with the left. Dear comrades and friends, I bring to you the message of hope and change that I receive from every corner of Europe. The optimism and the anticipation of the ordinary citizen of Europe on the street, that the left will be the pleasant surprise in the next European elections. We can, we must, and we will be, because now is the hour of the left. Now is the hour of democracy. Now is the time of the change. The other Europe is not only our motto. It's the demand of every citizen in Europe, wherever he or she may reside, in North or South, East or West. So I want to bring you the hope of every citizen whose patience is over, who cannot withstand austerity anymore, who cannot tolerate fear anymore, who are ready to vote for dignity and hope at the European elections. In the four corners of Europe, citizens are optimistic that at the polls we will break through the wall of austerity built by its three musketeers. The Conservatives, the Liberals, and the Social Democrats. Because in a few days we are not voting on the dosage of austerity. We are voting for its immediate termination. We are voting for a policy change, for democracy, justice, and growth. That's why we are voting for left. And I'm optimistic that we will break through the neoliberal consensus of the three. The European left will be the third political force in the next European Parliament, and we will play a leading role in the European developments. It's becoming clear with every day that goes by that we will leave the past behind. Mr. Juncker, who has presided over all the Eurogroup meetings for the memoranda and austerity, and who has grave political responsibility for the failure of the austerity programs. But also for Mr. Schulz, who assumed the presidency of the European Parliament in half-term after a political deal between the Conservatives and the Social Democrats. And in the critical periods of the crisis, he has shown no difference, in essence, from his right-wing predecessor. And the determined duo, the Giefer-Hofstadt, the determined duo, as Graham Watson characterized the Liberals' Giefer-Hofstadt and Olli Rehn, the symbol of harsh austerity in Europe. Mr. Olli Rehn, whom the Liberals are hiding behind Mr. Verhofstadt, in order to deceive people ahead of the elections. That's why every vote in favor of Juncker, that's why every vote in favor of Schulz, that's why every vote in favor of Verhofstadt is a willing yes to the continuation of austerity. And that's why every vote that is lost by abstaining for any respectable reason is also an unexpected yes to austerity. Those who are critical to the current Europe from a progressive angle, they should be the first ones to go to the polls. They should be the first ones to vote down the political forces that have contributed to the current neoliberal and undemocratic Europe of freer and memoranda. Those in Europe who want policy change and a change in course. They should vote the list of the European left. But above all, the first ones to go to the polls should be those who are the first victims of this crisis. The young and women. From unemployed, they should become the pioneers of change in Europe. Dear comrades and friends, May 2014 offers an once-in-a-generation opportunity to reshape Europe for the better. We must seize it all the more since, for the first time, the peoples of Europe themselves have set the political agenda of these elections: no to austerity, yes to growth. That's why even the most consistent political supporters of austerity are critical of it just ahead of the elections. But this opportunity should not be missed.